also spoken in the course of the day about the fact that we need to go beyond the traditional way of understanding immigration as a public policy challenge. Namely, we tend to understand immigration as a topic, as a challenge that begins when people arrive to the United States of America. But in reality, and with this I'm doing a segue into the other topic that has occupied us in the course of the day today, we also need to bring more and more into the conversation the question of why did people leave their countries? What made so many Mexicanos, so many Central Americans, so many South American and Caribbean nationalities go through the pains of emigrating? We don't do enough about that. And responding to that question will become ever more important as we move forward in this long battle, this long struggle to, as I said, reform immigration policy in our country in a way that is functional, humane, forward-looking, and fitting of the century we are in already. U.S. immigration policy towards Latin America has been another important topic that has occupied our time today. I think it is fair to say, occupying one of the titles of the workshops today, what has changed from George Bush to Barack Obama? And I think to that question, it is important to understand that by and large, not much has changed when it comes to U.S.-Latin America relations. Yes, there is far better public relations efforts coming out of the U.S. State Department. Yes, there are very important openings happening in terms of U.S.-Cuba relations. But the changes that we have heard of today are not changes that really point us in a direction that is irreversible. The changes, particularly in terms of U.S.-Cuba relations, are changes that could easily be undone tomorrow. Especially if we were to imagine a 2013 with a Republican president, all the changes that have occurred so far would easily be reversed because they're not grounded in profound legislative changes that reorient our policy towards Cuba. But when it comes to the rest of Latin America, frankly, very little has changed to date. We all know the president just finished a three-country trip that took him to Brazil, Chile, and El Salvador. But by and large, and there was a very interesting speech delivered in La Casa de la Moneda in Santiago de Chile, that we all should read just to inform ourselves. But by and large, the changes are not significant. The one thing that President Obama did in El Salvador was to offer a $200 million grant or loan, I'm not even sure if it is a grant or a loan, essentially to reinforce regional security, which in light of the challenges that, for example, organized crime and narco-trafficking present to many countries in Latin America, beginning very much with Mexico, frankly, it's pocket change. And it does not necessarily orient U.S. Latin America policy in a true new direction. So I think that as we consider resolutions on U.S. Latin America policy, we also need to be mindful of the fact that much more needs to change when it comes to U.S. Latin America relations. I will stop here because there are other speakers that will also address some of these questions. But I just wanted to end by saying that US-Latin America relations has been a topic about which Latino community organizations, for the most part, have actually not necessarily seen as an important area where we need to put our voices in, where we need to be active about. And I think that this is one of the areas that differentiates the National Latino Congreso from most other gatherings. Because we do believe, not necessarily that we all think exactly the same way, but many of us do believe that it is ever more important for Latinos in the US, especially when there are 21, 22 million Latin Americans residing now in the US, to not neglect the duty that we have to help shape the policy of this country of ours, the United States of America, when it comes to Latin America and the Caribbean. Thank you very much.